Hi, everybody. All of my wonderful co-hosts, go ahead and turn on your videos. And to our audience, thank you so much for being here. I'm Piper Stallane, Head of Product Marketing here at Splash, and one of your co-hosts today. Welcome to Hit the Virtual Programming Jackpot. If you don't know Splash already, a little bit about us: we build event software. In the world of virtual events, that translates to everything you need to promote and host beautiful, branded, data-driven online guest experiences, which I know is a lot of buzzwords. So to break it down, to arrive here today, you registered in Splash, received emails built in Splash, and you're now watching me on Splash's virtual event page. Before working here, I ran marketing at an ed tech called teach.org. And before that, I was on the product marketing team at Tableau. And let me tell you, I would have never expected to be in front of any camera or living in a world where the highest value action I could take would be helping program owners like yourselves access this live stream. So thank you all for being here. I'm glad you made it. I'm glad we're on this journey together and that we all get to witness the single immovable block that is virtual background hair on display for you today. And a very, very special thanks to my co-hosts from Slido and MootUp, and to Camille White-Stern from Splash for hopping on as well.
Thanks, Piper. Hi, everyone. I'm Camille White-Stern. I am the communications manager here at Splash, and before joining the squad here, I mostly worked in the music industry, where I did everything from talent management to event production, and I'm just so excited that you tuned in. Joining us today are two very special guests and virtual event engagement experts. We have Amanda Warren from Slido and Danny Stefanik from MootUp. Hey friends, how are you today?
Hey Camille, thanks for having me, joining you from Salt Lake City. Want to give a quick call out to Slido just quickly so I can kind of talk us through what we're doing here. You can see that there's a poll active. This is a word cloud poll. I can see that 60 members of our audience have already submitted. It looks like winning so far is ideas for what we're hoping to get out of today's conversation. So let's see if we can deliver. In the middle, you'll see an ideas chat, which also the same buzzword, but that's where we'll be putting all of our comments, any shout outs that you have for the presenters. And then in the Q&A tab, that's where we will be crowdsourcing our questions. We'll spend hopefully around 15 minutes on audience Q&A at the end of this session. Feel free to add a label if there's a specific presenter that you want to address your question. And with that, Danny, you want to give us a hey?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm joining you from the other side of the pond today. I'm actually in Europe, in Spain. So it's the night time for me, but I'm really excited to be here.
Amazing. Thank you all. And with that, event number 2 of 3 in the Double Down on Virtual series has officially kicked off. For those of you in the audience, please make sure that you stick around until the end, because everyone who does gets to attend our very exclusive 3D after party. And Camille, just to refresh everybody's memories, can you remind us what the Double Down series is all about?
So glad you asked, Piper. So we are talking to true innovators from the world of events to find out how the best programs are winning big on virtual. So I invite you to visit the link on your screen or in the Slido Ideas tab to register for the other events. And one thing we've learned throughout this series is that audience participation is critical to a successful program. So we took note, and just by showing up today, you've already been entered to win one of 2 prizes. That's right, 2 prizes. So the first one is a virtual care package. This one's pretty sweet, y'all. It includes a ring light and everything you need to make it through a virtual event. So we're sharing a link to a LinkedIn post in the Slido Ideas tab. It's also on the screen. All you have to do is like the post and post a comment about something you're excited to learn about or a whimsical observation, and you'll be entered to win the raffle. And then we'll announce the winner towards the end of today's presentation. Okay, Amanda, will you please tell our lovely attendees about prize number 2?
Of course. So throughout the presentation, you will see 3 quiz questions where you are going to be hopefully able to win a prize. There's 3 of them, you're timed. At the end, we will be able to find out who our leader is, and you'll get some sweet Slido swag. So pay attention and know that time is of the essence.
Okay, amazing. And with that, it's actually time for our first quiz. Are you ready? Okay. Virtual events receive what % more registrations than in-person events? Is it A, 27%, B, 39%, C, 78%, or D, 108%? And the key here is to answer fast, because speed to clicking that submit button does count towards your overall score. All right?
7 seconds left on the clock, Camille.
Let's see. What's it going to be? A, B, C, or D? All right. So if you guessed C, 78%, you were right.
That just seems crazy to me. I know we went through this in rehearsal, but like 80% of virtual events receiving more registrations than in-person. Like in-person events have been around forever. So why do you think this is happening, Camille?
Yeah. You know, I personally think it's less intimidating to show up to a virtual event. And honestly, it's a whole new frontier. No one really knows what to expect. And it's really exciting times to see what organizers will come up with to make these experiences even more memorable. And, you know, live programs used to fall into a kind of rinse and repeat cycle. And because of COVID, we've seen event innovators really redefining the new live program.
Totally. This call is full of those people, and we know that live programs have undergone so much change over the past year. Right now, people are focused on virtual events, which makes sense because that is what's legal. And across live programs, use cases, and companies, we've actually noticed at Splash 3 major tactics that the event pros have been using to ensure that their online events are successful.
Wait, 3? Piper, how do we know exactly 3?
Camille, what a setup. Not going to let me get away with any stat dropping. The product managers and engineers at Splash have spent the last 12 months interviewing marketers and analyzing what they want in their event management software. So I'm going to read these off, but as I do, everyone in the audience, add your own tips to the ideas tab on the right side of your screen, because we've got some serious pros in the virtual room today. Okay, so in terms of the new live program for virtual use cases, there are 3 major tactics that marketers are taking. And the first one is that they're making registration super easy. So that just means going easy on the form. Check with your marketing operations team to see which fields are absolutely necessary and don't add anything extra. You can always collect additional information as part of the event or in a post-event survey to your most engaged attendees. It's kind of like progressive profiling, but in an event context. Number 2 is going beyond the streaming provider. So selecting a webinar platform or a live streaming service is part of the puzzle, but it's not necessarily the whole picture. It's not necessarily like even an edge piece of that puzzle. Ask yourself what you're trying to accomplish with your event, and then the tech you choose should meet that goal the most directly. So work backwards to choose your technology. For instance, for today's event, we wanted to provide tips during the session, so Zoom made a lot of sense as a powerful video and screen sharing tool. And we also wanted to keep people engaged, so Slido is an obvious addition, it's a slam dunk. An immersive after party is a natural necessity as well, and MootUp shows up, and Danny will share some other use cases for MootUp in a few minutes too. And then third, extend the event past sign up or past sign off even. A post-event page with a recording or a downloadable guide will work wonders in turning even the most apathetic into engaged guests, and ultimately, for many of us, into engaged leads. And that's what we really want. What else came up in some of the ideas?
Yeah, we got a few in here. So we have customization and branding. Agreed. Super,
Solid.
super key. Interesting topics for the target attendees. Always. Reference speakers, a cocktail recipe to sip on. Love that. I love these things. Networking, breakouts, and roundtables. These are great ideas.
Yeah, I think that cocktail recipe person should definitely come to the after party and share the love, because I'm going to be ready for one.
Sure.
In terms of the hybrid world, if we all look to our left and then look to our virtual right, one of us, yeah, perfect, Camille, great gesticulation, I love it. One of us is going to be running a hybrid event this year. So when considering hybrid event needs, here's what to keep in mind. First of all, it's double the guest experience. So make sure that your registration forms are flexible enough to account for different attendance types. A pro tip here is to use conditional logic to create multiple registration paths in the same form. That's just like technical jargon for when you hit yes in a form, a certain set of questions comes up versus if you hit no, a different set of questions comes up. Number two is amplifying your attendees' voices. So if your event has a Q&A or breakout sessions, consider how your attendees can interact with each other. This could be a great opportunity for a co-host to translate key themes online. And third, never ever forget about the data. How you plan on measuring the success of your event is paramount to figure out before you get in the room. Physical handouts, for instance, are really popular and great for in-person environments for getting post-event feedback. But online surveys are a lot easier to maintain, to analyze, and to keep consistent between different types of audiences. So now you have kind of our framework for what to consider when it comes to hosting these programs. But what are the exact programs that have worked?
Okay, honestly, there are quite a few examples. Virtual events are seeing high conversion rates. That is the number of registered guests to attendees. And in many cases, we're actually seeing higher rates than pre-COVID, which is amazing. So here are 6 standout categories of virtual events that are really working. All right, we have internal events. What do retrospectives, brainstorm sessions, and leadership AMAs have in common? You guessed it, guest participation. Virtual events work wonders for hearing everyone's voices equally, especially with a tool like Slido. Okay, we also have product launches. You know, when you want eyes on your solution, a live demo is game changing, and screen sharing might just be the wonderful technology to guarantee visibility and guest comprehension. I love it. We also have networking. In case you miss meeting people naturally and striking up a conversation like I do, technologies like MootUp are amazing and take all the good from the conference hall while leaving all the tired feet at home. Sign me up. We have user groups and communities. You know, sometimes location is a major factor in giving and getting different types of industry advice. And in other times, it's a full-on blocker. So pivoting user groups and communities to an online setting opens up opportunities for collaborations that might not be possible in person. Then we have summits, of course, right? So with features from making breakout rooms easy to spotlighting speakers, virtual event technologies are uniquely situated to provide VIP experiences. And who doesn't love a good VIP experience? And finally, we have repeatable programs. This is huge because the beauty of virtual events is that many of the logistics that in-person programming make difficult to scale simply don't exist. So Piper will share a little bit more on that later about how Splash makes it super simple to scale your most important and impactful programs. And to kick off the conversation, I'm actually going to turn it over to Amanda, who is truly the queen of successful internal events.
Camille, I don't know if I can wear that crown, but thanks so much for that intro. Turning your attention back to Slido in the right-hand sidebar, you'll see a rating poll. And I, of course, want to know how engaging do you think your internal events are with your current setup? So based on how you're currently running your all hands or your town halls, I always give my rating polls a scale of 1 to 6 because I think 10 is too much and I don't like to have a middle. So no fence sitters here. You either need to be on one side or the other. And I can see my score is, as I expected, a 4. So 35% of my audience thinks it's 3.8. So we're doing okay. We're not doing stupendous, but at least we're not bored to tears. So as I was saying, when we think of internal events, it's easy to default to the monthly all hands or the town halls or your Monday morning stand-ups. But we know we can use polls to gather instant feedback, build employee buy-in, allow for majority roles when it comes to decision making. But there's a lot more that you can do with Slido. And since we're here to hit the jackpot, I wanted to focus our attention on a few more fringy use cases that Camille, you already mentioned, but that might not have our audience's direct attention. So starting with AMAs or Ask Me Anything sessions. We call them AMAs in our internal jargon because we've seen a huge increase in these with kind of the turbulent times that we've been experiencing in 2020 that we have the privilege of continuing to experience in 2021. But hosting your AMAs on Slido can be instrumental in creating some transparency during these turbulent times. So I highly recommend scheduling an hour Q&A session driven completely via questions crowdsourced from your audience. So using Slido, you can open up the space for questions to be collected in advance, which means that your audience members have time to articulate their questions in a well-rounded way. Your other participants have time to upvote them. And then of course, your leadership team has time to format their answers so they're not taken aback when they see that there's a question that has 94 upvotes and they need to prep their answer. They've had, 5 or 7 days to do so. Another feature of Slido that I feel like is heavily underutilized is our brainstorming feature, which we call ideas, and you're actually using it right now as a chat, which is a workaround that a ton of our clients are absolutely obsessed with, including Splash. But using it as an ideas feature, just as you saw in the example of this webinar, you can switch threads within your event. So you can have one chat going on at one time and then switch to another conversation, and your attendees can submit their ideas and upvote them and even reply to them to elaborate on them. Great way to have an open space for people to submit their ideas, especially in a virtual space where a whiteboard isn't readily available to you. You can upvote them, so the most popular one gets the most attention. And then you can choose if you want the ability to be anonymous to remain or if you want to require names. So if a popularity contest is something you guys are battling within your internal events, you can require your events to be anonymous. So that is completely taken out of the equation. Another couple of things that are on here, offsites is another great place to get weird with your engagement tactics. Highlighting employee successes. Polls don't have to be in multiple choice format, y'all. You don't need to ask true false questions on every poll, I promise. It's easy to do that, but you can get creative. Trainings and workshops, of course, this is a great place to utilize our quizzes feature and push a survey at the end. Slido also has surveys available so you can get great feedback. Simple rating poll, how was this for you? What would you do differently next time? And you'll see an example of that during this webinar as well. I want to take a second to dive into specifically team retrospectives, end of quarter reviews, whatever you guys call them, because we always talk about engagement, but I really want to spend a moment to talk about connection, because I think that within our internal events is equally, if not more important. So on the next slide, you will see an example of a word cloud poll. that I pushed during our end of the year offsite with our sales team. So you can see here that we use polling to bring us back to high school yearbook days, hosting a most likely to event for those on our team. We pushed a variety of word cloud polls, which automatically enlarges the most submitted word, as you were able to see in the example prior. In this case, it was the most submitted name. So some of the categories we pushed were things like most likely to be accidentally unmuted during calls, most likely to show up in a meeting a couple of minutes late, most likely to disagree with the leadership team, etc. Putting myself on blast a little bit here with the most likely to category I'm proud to be the winning contestant of, which is most likely to help you bury a body. This was actually a huge success, and my colleagues during the meeting were slacking me questions that they wanted to have pushed that were relevant to the nuances of our team. So just a fun way at the end of the year to kind of honor some of the more endearing qualities of your team that might not get brought to light in an average meeting. Another great example of a way to use polls is an open text poll. So this gives your colleagues a chance to acknowledge one another. Again, just a space for us to express gratitude for the individuals on our team. We are all in some ways right now a distributed workforce. This isn't unique to Slido, but we're all over the place in the Americas. We're in Toronto, we're in Vancouver, we're in Mexico City, we're in Honduras, we're in New York, we're in Salt Lake. And really just allowing time for your teammates to recognize one another is tremendous for creating rapport and that connection that I was previously talking about. We all know the connection is lacking, so spending some time on something as simple as shout outs can be a real tearjerker and very healthy for your team. I just want to reiterate that when designing your engagement touch points, and Piper, you kind of spoke to this before, consider your overarching goal. So it's not you want an engaging event, it's why do you want your engaging event? And just as you design the technology that you're using to point to your overarching goal, I also encourage you to design your interactive touch points throughout your event to support that overarching goal. So often when I'm workshopping with my clients, we're working on things like increase employee retention or reduce the number of HR interventions. And those are things that can really be accomplished with Slido. So again, just that focus on why you want your event to be engaging. And I hope that was some ideas for people to do new and creative things with Slido.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Amanda. You know, you said it, but especially in 2021, connection is crucial. It is so important now more than ever. And yes, I have totally already got so many ideas for using Slido for our next event. Thank you very much. Okay, so before passing it over to Danny, it's time for our second quiz question. Are you ready? I think you are. Okay. What are the 3 stats, just 3, what are the 3 stats that matter most in dictating virtual event success? Okay, so you'll pick 3. Is it viewing time, drop-off rate, check-ins, repeat registration, or questions asked? So drop the 3 answers that you think are the most important stats when dictating virtual event success. You're going to drop it into the poll via Slido. Amanda, how many seconds do we have left on the countdown?
It looks like we've got 13.
Oh, wait. All right.
Yeah, plenty of time. Lots of time.
You got time. So what do you think it is?
Well,
if you had to pick one, what do you think is the most important stat?
Viewing time would be my answer.
Okay.
For sure. Just how long people
right.
have stayed on based on my own data.
Totally. Okay. So let's see. All right. You were right. Okay. But there's more, right? So the 3 most important stats are, Amanda guessed right, viewing time. The second is drop-off rate. Third is repeat registration rate. We want you coming back. Okay, so here with direct experience of what successful virtual event programs actually look like is none other than the CEO of MootUp, Danny Stefanik.
Thanks, Camille. And thank you, Amanda, for those interesting points as well. I can't agree more that connection in this day and age is really, really important. Engagement, definitely, but this ability to connect. And I wanted to talk a little bit about, the silver lining in this Corona cloud when it comes to virtual events. So as Camille said, I'm the CEO of MootUp, an immersive platform for really bringing people into a new type of experience, something quite different that hopefully some of you already experienced, but if you haven't, you're going to get a taste of it at the end of today when we have a 3D after party. So I also want to highlight that there is another poll going on the side there, so please do take part in that as well. We're interested in hearing what you think about hybrid events coming on and physical events. So the virtual event space is just exploded and grown. It's unbelievable how much it has grown, but not just in attendance, the number of events running and the times that people are executing these events in, but also the financial growth. The industry is just blossoming, and there is more and more revenue coming in, there's more benefit, and with more money becomes more capacity to invest in quality engagement, quality connection, producing events that are unlike anything we've seen before. And this is really, really exciting. But there are some downsides as well. So people are getting a bit fatigued with Zoom and video conferencing. There's a lot of science and psychological reasons behind how it draws people's energy, being in simulating personal space and really being conscious that you're on camera. These sorts of things can all be a drain. But more than that, the fact that everyone's seeing the same event. If you could see a recording of an event and it's the same for you as for anyone else, then really, was it a personal experience? Was it my own journey? Like I would get at a physical event where I go to an expo or a summit and I meet people in the hallways and I maybe get some bad cafe food, whatever happens. There is an experience there, a journey that happens, and that is kind of missing in most of the experiences we're seeing today. But also, we've had so many meetings in platforms like Zoom. It's just another meeting. This is more work. But what we want is an experience, a journey. So those are some of the reasons why there's a bit of fatigue involved. And it turns into something else, which is that event organizers, especially those pivoting from physical to virtual, about 50% of them are frustrated, really frustrated. And the biggest frustration is that they can't match the type of experience that you would have in a physical environment, that you're not getting that matching live engagement. But there are solutions to that. So we've built a platform, MootUp, which is a three-dimensional solution, something that's immersive, and it can allow you to really dive into an experience. So our focus is really on engagement, about putting the user at the center of the journey. They have their own personal experience. They can move around freely. They can run into people. They can go to different spaces and rooms and different corners and talk to people in hallways and so forth. And it really allows a much deeper level of interaction, supporting video or just 3D avatars as up to you. So you can really be as involved or a little bit back as you prefer. But that's something we'll look at a bit later. So 3D is powerful. A lot of people think you might need just virtual reality headsets, but this was not true. This runs on all devices, so mobile phones, tablets, laptops, Chromebooks, and also, and we'll roll to the next slide here, also all virtual reality and augmented reality headsets. But the point of the platform is accessibility. And this is something that's new. Every browser that we use now supports 3D. So you can have someone rocking around a 3D virtual world just by following a link. As simple as clicking on a link to go to a YouTube video, you can now dive into these 3D experiences with the device you own now that your audience can reach immediately. So this is exciting times for delivering exceptional experiences that weren't possible before. So moving along, I wanted to talk about a couple of events that have run in our platform recently, and they're pretty exciting. So there's TEDx from Belgium. They ran an event recently, and Asahi, who did a product launch in the Philippines, and InPartner, who ran their annual summit with Forrester, and it's pretty compelling. So I'll explain a bit of what happened in these environments. And TEDx, because our platform's fully self-service, they went in and they got crazy. Their team loved the platform, and they built out different environments, put their own branding, customized everything to look just the way they wanted. But they also built a escape room experience where you could meet virtual characters. These are chatbots, and go on a discovery in a Japanese village. And there was a great escape room they built there, but they also built an event space for their sponsors. So there were trade show booths, there was tons of branding, there were gamification challenges that you could follow, and really gave sponsors something that they could see, something tangible, something they knew the audience could see as well, and it allowed them to create revenue for their event to offset their costs. So this is important. If you can attract sponsors in and you can actually have an event that breaks even or pays for itself and makes a profit, fantastic. And this is something that's a challenge with video events. Where do you put the branding inside a Zoom? There's only little small spaces for that, but this gives you unlimited space. So TEDx had a great event. Their attendees loved it, but more so the event organizers had a blast. So they're going to be running more events there. Asahi did a product launch in the Philippines, and it was for the media only. So it was a exclusive event, a product launch for this cultured milk drink called Good Day. And I can't help but every time I say to someone, have a good day, I think of their drink now. So great campaign. But they had a VIP section. They had the CEO of Asahi in there talking to people in a special VIP section, media interviews. They had quests where you go and collect items. But more than that, they sent out some swag for the event, samples of the drink, but also a virtual reality cardboard headset, so people could put that on and experience the thing life-size as if they were there as well. So that was an exciting event. They had two of the top Philippine pop acts doing live music there as well, which just was terrific, really great. All the avatars can do over 100 different dance moves, so it was fantastic fun. And InPartner, this was a more serious, how to work with the channel partners now in these lockdowns and how to grow that space. They ran their annual summit there, wanted to do something different. It was so successful that they've now running it every day of the year, and they have their partners, they've given them virtual offices where they can meet their prospects within the platform. And that all happened because the CEO was sitting in one of the lobbies talking to one of the marketing staff. Somebody else walked past and sat down and started having a conversation, and just serendipitously. And this conversation led to a prospect and value. And that's when they understood that this allowed for that sort of serendipitous hallway meetings that you would get at a real event. This allowed the thing that was missing to be possible. And that just immediately triggered the investment in going forward to run this every day of the year and help their partners use the platform for their benefit as well. So they're just a couple of examples, but I think they tell a great story of how you can change the way you run an event. We can continue on. Now, because it's all web-based, and this makes it super powerful, the whole platform can be embedded inside Splash. So you can embed it there like you would a YouTube video, but you've got this whole world. And you can embed other web-based content like Slido and actually have activations in there that you can follow activity and how people are engaging and record all of that within a 3D environment. So you don't have to exclude any of the tools you're using right now. It even works with Zoom. So you can pull all those tools together, but add another dimension. And this is really exciting, especially because it's so accessible. Now, one more thing we're looking at is as we unlock from the COVID and get more vaccines out there, hybrid events are going to, we think, be a part of normal events. At least the people we're talking to, definitely everyone wants to get back to physical events, but we can't now ignore the audience that wants to attend virtually as well. So we've built a solution that uses video, but also 360-degree video. You can set up a camera that can look right around the room in every direction. And you can then, as a remote attendee, be present, see the audience behind you, see the presenters in front of you, But more than that, you can run polls and other engagements that both the physical audience who have their mobile devices and voting on polls, the remote attendees can do the same. So you have this crossover of the audiences, which is really, really exciting and immersive. So I look forward to this. Our customers are already booking and creating events like this. So I think this is going to be a part of the future we're going to see.
Wow, truly incredible. Danny, thank you so much. That was such a helpful overview of MootUp. And honestly, just what program success looks like for product launches and networking events and summits. And I personally can't wait to check out the after party in MootUp and Splash. Hope you'll join me there. Okay, let's see if everyone was paying attention. This is the last quiz question, y'all, all right? Okay, what percent of event marketers believe they will host at least some in-person events this year? Is it 8%, 26%, 40.7%, or 68%? What do you think?
It's not 8%, just a hint.
It's not. At least I hope it's not. So that would be bleak.
Just trying to help my friends out here.
Amanda, how many seconds do we have on the clock?
We've got 10 seconds on the clock, Camille.
10 seconds on the clock.
If you were at the first of the Double Down series, the first webinar of the Double Down series, we use this as a Slido poll. Am I crazy?
Oh, so
no, this is where that came from.
Yeah, this data came from Slido from our previous event. Yeah.
Love that. Love that so much. Okay, well, guessed 40.7%. You were right. Congratulations. Okay, so before we hit the road back to in-person events, I'm actually going to hand it back over to Piper for our final 2 use cases.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Camille, and thank you, Amanda and Danny, for those overviews of use cases. I'm going to try to keep this gravy train rolling with a closer look at user groups and other types of repeatable programming. So just hang tight with me for one moment while I get this humming. All right, there we go. So first up is actually Splash's own community. We use an event hub page, which means we're able to include all of the chapters of the Splash user group program, or SPLUG for short. If you're cool, you say SPLUG, in one spot. This makes it really easy for visitors to register for a user group that matches their interests and schedules. And in terms of the live experience, the day of the SPLUG, events are very similar to what people are experiencing right now, except get rid of the screen share and enter gallery view. Your branding stays intact and all of your registration data stays centralized. At Splash, we use Salesforce as our CRM, and Splash's integration with Salesforce makes it really easy for my team to let our customer success and sales teams know which clients are most engaged with our programming. So follow-ups become really, really personalized and high converting. And best of all, once you set up your event in Splash, you can duplicate it. And we're talking about more than just the event page. We're talking about emails, registration forms, share cards, metadata descriptions, literally everything you typically have to set up manually for marketing. Which brings me to our last programming example. And I actually checked the attendee list here today, and I think we have Jordan Scott from Tableau, who is a master at these. So thank you so much for showing up. Shout out, Jordan. Our last use case example is repeatable programs. So user groups are a great example of repeatable programs, and that's what that cluster of share cards on the left represents. Another exemplar specimen of repeatable programs, ones that operate more in a field marketing context, is the Double Down series itself. That's right, you are attending a repeatable program right now. These scalable turnkey solutions take the nightmare of design and marketing operations requests and all of that associated labor, and it turns them into this like daydream of easy and compliant and approved event marketing materials. And there are some key features to look out for that enable this kind of scale. One of those features is an asset library where your team can store fonts, colors, logos, and registration forms to be used across all of your programs. Another feature is a robust set of integrations and embeddable partners that don't cost extra. And a third is a governance tool, like a team manager, to give event marketing access to different types of people in your organization. So you can leverage everybody's expertise. Okay, I think we've had a lot of slide sharing today. I'm gonna get rid of that. I love a repeatable program. There's so much power under the hood to take advantage of, but it's time. Camille, do you know what it's time for?
I do. I do know what it's time for. It is time, if you're ready. It's time to reveal the winner of our competitions.
Yes.
And I am, let me see, let me pull up who is the winner here.
Amanda, do you have the winner of Slido? We can go backwards order.
Let's do it. I do have the winner of Slido. So it looks like it's Sophia with 3 out of 3 points and 37 seconds. Nice work, Sophia.
That's
amazing. So congratulations, Sophia. And sorry for the delay. I just got our winner for the social raffle. Congratulations are in order for Melissa Morris from Expedia Group. We will be in touch shortly. Congratulations. After today's event, we'll reach out and we will get your details so that we can equip you with the care package of a lifetime.
Camille, can I just call out that Melissa Norris also got 2nd place in the quiz?
What? Melissa,
whoa, superstar.
You are a rock star.
A double winner. Great work, Melissa.
You can say you shared an event with Melissa. This is a big moment.
Okay, so now that we've announced our lucky winners for today, it's time to get into our very own AMA. We're going to do a little Ask Us Anything. So we have gotten some great questions in during the event through Slido. Let's take a look and just go top to bottom. Okay, first question is from Penny, who asked, out of the 78% of registrants, how many people actually show up on the day of the event though? That's a great question.
Yeah, such a good question. I have the answer for this. It's about, the stats are about the same between virtual and in person. It's like a 5% margin. So we'll see 5% either lower than what we would have expected for in person or above. So pretty similar conversions, which just means like more people are registering and more people are showing up. It's a win-win.
Love that. Okay, next up, we have a question from Concetta Phillips. I hope I didn't butcher your name. I apologize if I did. Who asked, I would love some more ideas for well-done virtual networking. Many events I have attended seem not well planned. I am going to field this to Danny. Do you have any examples you can share of virtual networking gone right?
Yeah, plenty. In our platform in particular, but there's a number of platforms that do this sort of format, which is table and chairs, getting people to sit down together and actually have conversations in a smaller audio group. And when you add some dimension to them, some visual dimension, whether it's an aerial view of a table and some little thumbnail pictures of people around them, or in our case, you actually walk up to a lounge, sit down, and somebody's across from you, and that you're suddenly in a conversation. Those things work really well. The trick with that, depending on your audience, if it's an audience that know each other versus an audience that doesn't, there are different ways to handle that. If they're an audience that don't know each other, then you probably want facilitators to do icebreakers. So you have groups, but you have someone representing a moderator or someone in there that can help with ice breaking. But if it's an internal company meeting, people are happy to jump in and start talking to each other because there's some common ground there already. So that'd be my recommendation.
Nice. I definitely think that facilitation can be really, really helpful in certain situations. So that was a great one. Thank you. Okay. Our next question was submitted anonymously, which is, you can also do that. You don't have to even submit your name with it. Pretty cool. Okay. When in-person events resume, how should brands host hybrid and virtual components? This is a great question. Who wants to take this one?
I can take
Amanda?
I'm happy to.
Please.
Yeah, so Slido was actually designed for hybrid environments. It's what we were based on. I know it's cool to be remote in 2020, but we've been remote since 2018. So Slido, you can have your in-person attendees join using a QR code or a direct link that they can join on their mobile device. So I am actually joined as a participant on this event on my mobile phone, or you can do something like Splash has done, which is an embed of the same experience. So you're providing your virtual and your in-person audience the ability to interact with each other, and also all of their data is in the same place. So this is huge for event organizers. We know we love our data. So when I push a survey, I want my in-person and my online attendees to be able to share their feedback the same way. So I hope that answers your question, Mr. Anonymous.
Love that. All right. Next up, we have a question from Christina, who asked, how do we gain access to use these awesome Q&A tools with our events? This is another one for you, Amanda.
Hey, yeah, Slido.com, create an account for free. We have a forever free basic version that has some of the features that you're looking at today, or you can always get in touch with me. I'm Amanda at Slido.com, and I'll help you get set up.
Okay. Next up, Sarah Rose asked, where do we learn more about using Slido for our virtual events in Splash?
Sarah, find me on LinkedIn. Or
I love it. Okay, we're keeping it moving. Adrian asked, what platform are you guys using for the live stream?
Awesome. Yeah, so yeah, we are actually using Zoom webinars. And it is embedded in Splash. So that's why we can have Slido on the side and Zoom with hosting the live stream and the screen share. And so Splash handles all of the registration. It auto creates a webinar. In Zoom, it's super slick. And so all of those technologies are working together, but the live stream is Zoom.
Awesome. Okay. Next up, we got a question from Danny, who asked, do you have a recap to actually view the third experience for TEDx in partner or Asahi? This is for Danny.
Yeah, so there's actually a couple of, on MootUp.com, there's a couple of blog posts on the event. So you'll see some video recordings pre the event and also post, because as I said, the team was really engaged and loved working on it. So there's a couple of interviews there. So definitely go to MootUp.com and check out the blog posts there on TEDx event. They're really, really thorough.
Awesome. I think we're a couple minutes over and I don't want people to miss out on the after party. So I think right now you should have an invite in your email to join that experience. And Amanda, do you want to recap with the survey?
Yeah, so you should already see a survey activated. I activated it a few minutes ago. And if you haven't done so already, please, please, please give us some feedback on what you thought of this programming, just available in the tabs section of Slido.
Amazing. Okay, on behalf of Splash, thank you so much for showing up today. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Camille. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, all audience members, and congrats to our quiz winners. We will be reaching out with you with our prizes, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. I'm gonna trigger that fine coffee jazz music, share a final slide, and we'll see you over in MootUp plus Splash in a few minutes. Thanks so much, everybody.